Insurance fraud in the UK has hit epidemic levels. It's costing us around £2 billion every year. That's almost £6 million a day. Deliberate crashes, bogus personal injuries, even phantom pets. The fraudsters are risking more and more to make a quick killing. And every year it's adding over £50 to your insurance bill. But insurers are fighting back, exposing around 14 fake claims every hour. Armed with covert surveillance systems,
subject out the vehicle,
sophisticated data analysis techniques, and a number of highly skilled police units. They're catching the criminals red-handed.
Just don't lie to us.
All those con men, scammers, and cheats on the fiddle are now caught in the act and claimed and shamed. Coming up, a convicted drug dealer thinks a bump on the head will give him a bumper payout.
Mr. Foster claimed that he'd fallen from his top bunk during the night and that he'd been knocked unconscious, suffering a severe head injury.
Thames Valley Police continue to clamp down hard on suspected crash for cash gangs.
Hello, it's the police!
And after feeling under par, a golf professional tees himself up for a double bogey.
The insurance company grew suspicious because they received information that Mr. Turner had been working at a golf club.
Some criminals just don't know when to stop. And you'd think being locked up would be enough of a deterrent. But for some, time inside just seems like an excuse to steal from hard-working taxpayers. Too many prisoners now see bogus personal injury claims as a nice little earner.
And the kind of people who put in false claims while in prison are the kind of people who don't realise the implications of doing so, both cost and to their own freedom.
At Her Majesty's Prison Manchester, the litigation team can sometimes be processing as many as 120 claims at any one time. These claims can be all sorts of trips, slips and falls, but one of the most common is for injuries sustained from falling out of bed.
There are a number of prisoners claiming to have fallen from the top bunk at Manchester. It's quite a hot topic. The injuries vary from case to case. Some claim to have banged their elbows, some claim to have bruised the side, some have suffered head injuries, front, back, facial injuries.
22-year-old inmate Callum Foster was awaiting trial, but soon appeared to find himself the victim of an unfortunate accident whilst asleep in his cell.
Mr. Foster claimed that he'd fallen from his top bunk during the night and that he'd been knocked unconscious, suffering a severe head injury.
2 months later, while still inside, Foster was reading a newspaper in his cell. He spotted an injury claims solicitor's advert and suddenly saw an opportunity to write himself what he imagined would be a blank cheque. After contacting his new solicitors, a claim soon arrived at the prison.
Initially, it was the solicitor's letter that raised our suspicions. They'd claimed that he had fallen out of his bed at 9 o'clock that morning, when we knew, looking from the records, that he was due to attend a review for his behaviour at 10 a.m. that morning.
Alarm bells had started to ring for the prison's litigation team, and a thorough investigation of the incident was launched.
Once we started to investigate the matter more thoroughly, we actually discovered that Mr. Foster was involved in an altercation on the yard that afternoon. He'd become extremely abusive towards staff, verbally abusive and physically abusive, and he had to be restrained.
After any such restraint, prisoners are automatically referred to medical staff and thoroughly checked over.
After the incident, he was seen by a nurse who noted that he'd received a small raised bump to the front of his head.
Foster realised there was an opportunity to exploit his earlier injury and came up with a clever plan to claim for a fall in his cell. At least it would have been clever had Foster not forgotten that his bump on the head had already been noted in the medical records a few hours before.
The records showed that later that evening, Mr. Foster had in fact pressed his cell bell and raised the alarm that he'd fallen from his top bunk. Medical attention was sought for him and a medical officer attended his cell. It was noted that he did have a slight bump to the front of his head.
Foster's ridiculous lies were unravelling fast, and when interviewed by local police, he answered no comment to all questions. In a groundbreaking case, Foster became only the second ever inmate in the country to be charged with fraud offences committed from the inside. Once again, he was heading for the dock at Manchester Crown Court.
Mr. Foster never actually admitted to his attempt on fraud. It was taken to trial, and he received 9 months on top of his original sentence.
In court, a jury found Foster guilty, and the judge was damning in his verdict. He told Foster, "No one should be under any illusion about the lack of resources public services have. Any such strain is to be abhorred, particularly by someone who has had such an antisocial history as you have."
I don't think this was a well thought out claim at all. The fact that he was claiming for an injury that he'd already sustained earlier in the same day, and the record was there, he did receive medical treatment for that injury, which he knew of, makes it not a sophisticated attempt at all.
Foster was looking for a bumper payday, knowing that substantial compensation had already been paid to prisoners. But his plan backfired, and instead he was landed with an extra 9 months inside.
The best thing about this job is successfully defending against fraudulent claims, getting a brilliant outcome, saving the taxpayer the money. It was a really good feeling that we could get this guy prosecuted.
Still to come, the Asset Protection Unit play cat and mouse with an evasive customer whose borrowed car has crossed the point of no return.
If I think that there's a danger that vehicle might be stolen, then I will authorise a snatchback, which is 2 of my staff go in to physically go and get the car back.
And an insider trader on the fiddle gets an unexpected visit from the IFED team.
And it wasn't long before Mr. Clegg received the famous knock on the door from IFED, and his skullduggery was uncovered.
Crash for cash is becoming a major policing issue. Currently, UK police forces are investigating 110 of these scams across the country. Reports claim that 1 in 7 personal injury claims are linked to deliberate crashes. These crashes are designed to milk insurance companies of up to £30,000 per crash. It's big money, and it's a serious danger to the public. Britain's police forces are determined to put the brakes on this type of crime, and Thames Valley Police is no exception.
Police, open the door now, last chance!
Detective Inspector Louise Roddy from 4th CID has a team of 25 officers dealing with crimes from murder to blackmail and fraud.
We work closely with the Insurance Fraud Bureau and the Crown Prosecution Service to make sure that we've got a watertight case to present at court.
Got a second person in here!
But it's not just costing the insurers thousands. These criminals are putting innocent lives at risk. People are getting seriously hurt.
Unsuspecting members of the public are driving along busy roads and are being involved in these accidents because they are targeted by such an organised group, and that's why we're involved in the investigation.
It's early morning at HQ. After months of hard work, today is the start of an operation designed to smash another suspected crash for cash gang, believed to be working in the area.
We want to send out a really clear message from Thames Valley Police that these offences will be dealt with robustly, that offenders will be arrested, and at any opportunity we'll prosecute them.
Helping to take the fight to the suspected scammers is Detective Sergeant Tony Madison, who quickly brings the officers up to speed.
Please expect the unexpected. We don't know what exactly we're going to find. What I will say is that other than our objective, our main arrest, which is highlighted in the arrest packs, there could potentially be other offences disclosed.
The coppers begin to head out, ready to hit the suspected fraudsters right where it hurts. With 5 separate warrants served across multiple raids, the rapid entry team are called in to assist at every single address.
Police officers, open up!
Quebec Sierra 50 out the address.
That's our man, security, that's our man.
You're under arrest on suspicion of fraud.
3 suspects have already been arrested and taken away for further questioning. Evidence has been seized at various premises during 4 multiple raids so far. With just one address left to target, the team are hopeful that another suspected fraudster is about to be brought to book by the police. Sergeant Alex Clough is leading the raiding party into action.
We're off to conduct a warrant and hopefully arrest for fraud offences, dangerous driving. The intelligence that we've got is that we're going to go and arrest a male. That's the only male that we expect to find at the address. The offences that have been committed, we're sort of looking for documents like insurance documents, passports, identification, mobile phones. The warrant's going to be conducted as a door knock, but if no one answers, obviously we have the powers to force entry.
Once again, the team are assisted by rapid entry officers wearing protective clothing. Their job is to gain entry to the building as quickly and safely as possible, ensuring that suspects have no time to dispose of incriminating evidence.
Hey, it's the police. It's all right to come in. We've got a warrant to search this property.
But not every door knock yields a result.
Yeah. Hello, it's the police. Police upstairs. Hello, police. Is anyone here? Hello, it's the police. You all right?
Officers check round the back just in case.
Who else is in the address? Who else in here?
After looking over the premises for further occupants, the officer runs a check to verify the identity of the male tenant.
We suspect that there is a person living at this address that has committed offences. No, not you. But we still need to search the property. We'll need to search the whole property in relation to the offences of fraud, conspiracy to destroy or damage property, and also dangerous driving.
A thorough search is carried out across the house. Detailed checks are made in bags, boxes, drawers and cupboards in every room, making sure that no mattress is left unturned in the hunt for evidence.
Getting letters like that, but an address just down the road. I'm thinking of our suspects linked with these guys.
Yeah.
This address, has that got anything that could link them?
We've just found some sort of various letters regarding financial arrangements relating to either the landlord of this property or the younger male occupant, but at a different address. So it may be that there's a group of addresses in the area where people are moving around, so it could be relevant.
As the search for evidence continues, the boys in blue check further documentation to try and confirm the details of all the occupants at the premises.
We detained 3 persons, done some checks on them, and we are confident that they are not connected to the person that we were after originally, with some valuable intelligence, but unfortunately not the suspect that we were after.
This morning's search is over, but contacting the owner of the property may yield further clues.
That's done. We've got some details of the landlord which we're going to progress with to find out whether or not our suspect lived here and perhaps a fraudulent address to where they've gone to.
Whilst this team didn't get to arrest their man, the wider case remains under investigation, and the police's commitment to reduce crash-for-cash crime in the area continues. In times of financial hardship, as the bills start piling up, people begin to worry about keeping a roof over their heads. Thankfully, for a relatively low sum each month, income protection insurance is there to cover up to 70% of earnings should you fall ill. Especially useful if your job is more like a hobby, but relies on you being fit and well. 52-year-old professional Laurie Turner was one of the lucky few that got to ply his trade on the greens and fairways of Yorkshire, whilst helping local golfers improve their game. Unfortunately for Mr. Turner, a debilitating knee problem threatened to put paid to his ideal vocation and saw his golf career heading straight for the bunker.
The claim was that he was unable to work, which involved teaching golf and also playing golf on the pro circuit.
Luck was on his side. Turner had done the sensible thing and already had income protection insurance. Very soon after notifying insurers of his injury, he started to receive monthly compensation payments.
The insurance company grew suspicious because they received information that Mr. Turner had been working at a golf club and giving lessons to members of the public.
The insurance company called in a private investigator who promptly dusted down his clubs, picked up the phone and booked himself in for an actual lesson with Mr. Turner.
Despite the fact that Laurie Turner had a knee injury, you can see that he's able to stand, swing a golf club, and it shows him receiving money at the end of the lesson.
With the lesson ended and his golf swing vastly improved, the investigator passed the conclusive evidence directly to IFED, the Insurance Fraud Enforcement Department at the City of London Police.
It was found that Laurie Turner was playing golf on the Professional Golf Association Northern and Yorkshire tours and receiving money for entering and playing in tournaments when also claiming on his insurance policy.
With the weight of the evidence stacking up against him, Turner was well and truly in the rough.
IFED arrested Laurie Turner at a golf shop he was working at, and he was prosecuted and charged with fraud by false representation.
Pleading guilty at Leeds Magistrates Court, he was ordered to carry out 140 hours of unpaid work and to repay over £8,000 that he had fraudulently claimed.
This type of insurance policy, income protection, is really important for people if they should fall ill and be unable to work, if they can't pay their mortgage. But unfortunately, Laurie Turner abused this policy by continuing to work and play golf and give golf lessons whilst receiving money from the insurance company.
As any unlucky driver knows, being left without a car after an unfortunate smash can leave you stuck indoors with the kids or unable to get to work. Thanks to legislation for insurance policyholders, a complimentary hire car is a real silver lining.
The main business of Accident Exchange is to provide hire vehicles for people involved in non-fault accidents. So if you're involved in an accident, it's not your fault. Accident Exchange can provide you with a like-for-like replacement car.
Unfortunately, what's great news for motorists can also be good news for fraudsters on the lookout for a free ride. Within Accident Exchange, the Asset Protection Unit, or APU, help keep a watchful eye on the fleet.
We have about 3,000 vehicles, mainly prestige vehicles, and APU's main role is protecting those assets.
Once the client's vehicle is repaired and sent back, they must return the replacement hire vehicle to the legal owners.
99% of clients and customers give the vehicle back and there's no problem. There's just the 1% where we need to take significant action.
When a customer fails to return the car and starts ignoring calls, Neil is placed on red alert. If they continue to drive, they will be breaking the law as the insurance is now invalid. There's an increased chance that the vehicle may go missing or be passed to a third party.
If I think that there's a danger that vehicle might be stolen, then I will authorise a snatchback, which is two of my staff go in to physically go and get the car back.
Snatchbacks are when the car's legal owners use a spare key to take the vehicle back directly from its location. Used as a last resort, this type of operation always carries an element of risk. It's 6 a.m. It's been a very early start for APU's Matt Sperrin and his colleague Erin Sims, who set off from HQ at 3 o'clock this morning. They're making their way to the family home of a client who hasn't returned a vehicle to Accident Exchange.
The hire company who've lent the vehicle out, they've been trying to communicate with these people for quite some time to get the vehicle back. Their period of hire has ended, but now they've got to the point where they can't communicate with the clients. They've been trying to call them, there's no answers, they won't reply to voicemails, emails, letters, texts and whatever else has been sent to them. So the only option that's been left to them to protect their asset is to recover the vehicle. They've given us the basic details of who these people are. We've done some background checks, and it's just felt that the safest and easiest and best way to resolve the situation is to get the vehicle back in a covert manner. Hence the reason we've got the spare keys. We can use technology within the vehicle to see where it's parking overnight, to see what sort of times it starts up and moves in the morning. And should they be true to form, the vehicle should be parked up there now when we get there. Hopefully it won't be a gated property and we'll be able to just get in it and scoot away.
As well as the all-important spare key, Matt has some clever tracker technology at his disposal. Using a smartphone app, he pinpoints the vehicle's exact location.
It's only a very small, tight side street, so...
Matt doesn't know what to expect when he attempts to snatch the car back from the client's drive.
It's this right here, just behind this van.
With an eyeball on the vehicle, it's important they position themselves for a quick getaway.
Go in there, turn around, and you can just sit in the entrance here, facing out, ready to go. And you can see down there then as well. I can see the vehicle there. You'll be able to see me getting into it. There.
Matt's finally located the car, and Snatchback is go, go, go.
So the vehicle's parked up on side street opposite us now. It seems fairly open, it's not gated. We may have to reverse up. I don't think we're going to get time to do a 3-point turn, so we're just going to get in there, get in as quick as we can, and get on the main road and get away.
Time is of the essence. Now he's in, the last thing he wants to do is stall it. Matt has to be careful not to wake the client who's sleeping like a baby. He has to be quick and discreet. Snatchback complete.
Successful recovery. It's always difficult when we're getting vehicles back from down little side roads, side streets. You know, you've got to manoeuvre something out. This is quite a big vehicle, so managed to get out there, no damage. This is probably, what, £30,000 worth of someone's hard-earned money. And if it was 30 grand in cash in a bag, you know, we'd all be jumping up and down trying to get it back. And it's the same principle for me, to be honest. You know, they might not care about it, it might not be their vehicle, but it is someone's vehicle. It's the livelihood of the business who own the vehicle, and it's in everybody's best interest to get it back unscathed.
One of the common hazards of the job is being pulled over by the boys in blue for suspected car theft. Once he's a safe distance from the location of the recovered vehicle, Matt contacts the police in case the clients report the vehicle as stolen.
It's just to let you know that we do now have possession of that vehicle. If somebody does ring up inquiring about it, if they could be just directed to ring the main office number, that would be fantastic, thank you.
Matt gives the car a once-over, noting the vehicle's condition and making a photographic record of the contents.
The car itself is in a complete state. There are sweet wrappers everywhere, drinks bottles, crisps. It obviously hasn't been cleaned inside or out. There is a lot of property in the boot, which tends to suggest two things. One, that they weren't bothered about the vehicle, it's not theirs, they don't want to treat it, you know, like it was their own. And that generally they didn't have any intention of handing the vehicle back.
Unfortunately for Accidents Exchange, the costs are still rising. Despite recovering their valuable asset, the car needs petrol to get to HQ, and they will still have to pay to return the car's contents to the clients.
I think they feel it's a victimless crime. They look upon hire companies or credit hire or whoever they've had the vehicle from, and they'll look at the business, especially if it's a large national company or international company, and they'll say, well, they've got thousands of cars, hundreds, thousands of cars. It doesn't matter to them. Whereas the truth of the matter is, it is valuable to someone. It is £30,000 worth of vehicle. It does make a business however many pounds a day while it's out on rent, and they can't do that whilst people like this are holding on to it.
The absent-minded customer will soon have their property returned, but their free ride at the insurer's expense is over.
It's really rewarding to get a vehicle back. It's got financial implications for the people that own the vehicle. We've helped save them a lot of money, hopefully. We've got back in a valuable asset for them. And at the end of the day, it's quite a nice feeling to know that we might have inconvenienced the client somewhat, which is actions they've all brought on themselves at the end of the day. So.
Insurance fraud comes in all shapes and sizes. It's committed by a whole variety of people, regardless of background or profession. From labourers to doctors, And from lawyers to footballers, it's always surprising to hear who's on the take. Even more shocking is when it happens from within the very area of business trying so hard to stamp it out. The insurance industry.
Mr. Clegg was employed by one of the main insurers as an insurance claims manager. So his day-to-day role would have been examining claims that come into the company and sorting those out, ones that should be paid out and ones that perhaps require a bit more scrutiny before they get paid.
Now firmly established as the head of the claims team, it didn't take long before Michael Clegg abused his position of trust. He was soon turning his daily toil in the office to his own financial advantage.
Mr. Clegg recruited 3 of his friends and got them to submit 3 separate fraudulent claims, each for medical disabilities and instances. He oversaw each one through the system and made sure that that claim was paid out back to his friend.
Fraudster Clegg cooked the books so that 3 separate claims were paid out over a 5-month period.
The whole scam depended on Mr. Clegg being in the position within the company that he was and him overseeing the checks and balances that would have kicked in and making sure the claims were paid out. This happened once, twice, 3 times. Total amount that was stolen from the company, £34,000, of which Mr. Clegg himself pocketed £14,000 and the remaining £20,000 was split between his 3 friends.
His employer soon noticed the irregular payments and got on the phone to IFED, the Insurance Fraud Enforcement Department at the City of London Police.
And it wasn't long before Mr. Clegg received the famous knock on the door from IFED and his skullduggery was uncovered.
Within weeks, IFED made in-depth inquiries and began to investigate the fraudulent claims.
The inquiry quickly uncovered the motive behind Mr. Clegg's criminality. Mr. Clegg clearly found himself in a vulnerable position in the fact that he had £10,000 worth of gambling debts, and rather work out a plan to pay them back as any normal person would, he thought differently and invented this scam, roping in 3 of his friends to ultimately defraud his own employers of £34,000.
As Clegg soon found out, fraud is never the easy solution to clearing a string of bad debts.
Unfortunately for Mr. Clegg, this grand plan fell flat on its face and led to Mr. Clegg being arrested along with his 3 friends.
Michael Clegg and his accomplices soon found themselves on trial at Manchester Crown Court. Clegg pleaded guilty to fraud and was given a 2-year suspended sentence. His 3 fraudulent friends were given community orders of over 100 hours each for their part in the scam.
IFED deal with all types of insurance frauds, big, small, from organised criminals to one-off opportunistic offenders. However, it is disappointing when we do occasionally come across what we call an internal fraud. There's someone from within the company that are supposed to be helping us prevent and detect insurance fraud are actually doing it themselves. Fortunately, it's quite rare, but when it does happen, IFED, along with the insurer, will take the necessary action.